I find his lack of balance disturbing.
It's all that data, bro. With SLT mega deals, he's got double data for the next 2 months.
Making headlines for First at 9. Tug of war. TNA leader Sambandhan clings on to opposition leadership.
I submit that there was no need for another person to be recognized as the leader of the opposition in haste.
The parliament, meanwhile, is reminded of its role.
Parliament is not there to arbitrate into or inquire into internal issues of UPF or any other political party.
Insidious mechanism. President's Counsel Manohara De Silva critical of the TNA for questioning former President Mahinda Rajapaksa's eligibility to be opposition leader.
A party that supported the government cannot grab the post of opposition leader for the purpose of depriving the majority community of this country the due post that they are entitled under the law.
Cabinet imminent. MP Gamini Lokuge quotes the president, saying the new cabinet will be sworn in tomorrow. Security concerns. The army commander allays fears of a possible Ava group uprising. The return of the smiling assassin. Old Trafford favourite Ole Gunnar Solskjaer takes over Manchester United as caretaker manager.
මේ උත්සව සමයේ ස්මාර්ට් ඇන්ඩ්‍රොයිඩ් තාක්ෂණයෙන් එන සිංගර් විස්ටා TV එකක් මිලදී ගන්නා ඔබට හිත පිරෙන්න වාසි රැසක් ඕනෑම සිංගර් ප්‍රදර්ශනාගාරයකින්.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Dhammika Kanayaka. Now let's start you off with your local stories. After weeks of debate in Parliament as well as in society over simultaneous existence of two prime ministers in the country, a similar situation now seems to be manifesting over the position of the opposition leader. Following Speaker Karu Jayasuriya's acknowledgement of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa as leader of the opposition yesterday, TNA leader R. Sambandhan today made a concerted effort to hang on to the position, arguing that the Speaker in fact did not remove him as the opposition leader. He also argued that former President Rajapaksa is no longer a member of Parliament, alleging that he had lost his parliamentary seat when he obtained membership of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna. The United National Party as well as the Tamil National Alliance opposed the announcement by the Speaker appointing former President Mahinda Rajapaksa as the leader of the opposition. Those who opposed the latest development argued that a group of UPFA parliamentarians, including former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, obtained membership of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna and therefore no longer holds membership of the parliament. It was in this backdrop that leader of the Tamil National Alliance, R. Sambandhan, made a statement in Parliament today regarding the position of the opposition leader.
The Speaker recognized me as a leader of the opposition, being the leader of the Ilangai Tamil Katchi, the second largest party in opposition, in September 2015. After questions were raised in Parliament by some of the opposition members, the Speaker once again recognized me as a leader of the opposition in August 2018. Yesterday, the Speaker made an announcement in Parliament that he recognized Honourable Mahinda Rajapaksa as a leader of the opposition, consequent to a request made by the United People's Freedom Alliance. The Speaker made the said announcement without removing me from the post of the leader of the opposition, to which position he himself had appointed me twice over. And consequently, it would seem that there are two persons now holding the position. The question arises as to whether the Speaker lacked the conviction to remove me from the post of leader of the opposition. President Maithripala Sirisena, the leader of the UPFA and the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, were part and parcel of the government, is the head of state, head of the executive and of the government, member of the cabinet of ministers, holding several portfolios. In this situation, it would have been incongruous for a member of the UPFA to be the leader of the opposition. The cabinet of ministers has not yet been constituted. When a government has not yet been fully constituted, I submit that there was no need for another person to be recognized as the leader of the opposition in haste. It is further alleged that the member of parliament whom you have recognized as the leader of the opposition has ceased to be a member of the recognized political party, UPFA or SLFP, on whose nomination paper his name appeared at the time of becoming such member of parliament, and that his seat had consequently become vacant since 1 month has expired from the date of his ceasing to be member of such a recognized political party. You would observe, sir, that the person recognized by the Speaker as the leader of the opposition does not even hold the position of a member of parliament as of the date of such recognition, and your decision is in violation of our constitution.
Honourable Member, I will bring this statement to the attention of the Honourable Speaker.
3 newspaper reports, all of which have the report and pictures of Honorable Mahinda Rajapaksa taking membership of the Sri Lanka Podujana Party on the 11th of November 2018, 2 days after the purported dissolution of Parliament, and I am tabling those newspaper reports. We will be moving for the appointment of a select committee to inquire and report on this to Parliament.
He has not resigned or been sacked from the UPFA or the SLFP. Neither the Speaker nor the Secretary-General of Parliament are informed in writing that the former President is removed as a member of these political parties. The membership of Parliament doesn't simply get nullified. It's a position obtained by public vote pertaining to a relevant district. And all these votes are cast for the relevant political party. Unless the General Secretary of the relevant party informs so, any parliamentarian representing that party will not lose their membership within the House. General Secretary of the UPFA himself sent a letter yesterday nominating Mahinda Rajapaksa for the post of the opposition leader after UPFA's approval. That letter proves Mahinda Rajapaksa is still a parliamentarian who represents the UPFA. This constitution nor the standing orders of Parliament mention the position of the opposition leader. This means there is no possibility to go to courts regarding this position. There is no problem related to the membership issue of SLPP as well, because there is no evidence except a newspaper report to suggest that they obtained membership of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna. As for the constitution of the SLFP, no one loses its membership just because they obtained membership of another party. If a person is sacked, the process is that a disciplinary committee must first be appointed to look into activities of an alleged member. Then the Central Committee must officially inform the Parliament that this individual has been removed from the party. I would like to ask MP Susil Premajantha about Twitter posts which said that 50 UPFA members obtained membership of SLPP.
It's so unfortunate to hear from a very senior member of parliament, Mr. Sambandhan, that there are 2 leaders of opposition in this parliament. The government should take the responsibility. I was told since the president, Maithripala Sirisena, is the leader of UPFA, another member of UPFA cannot hold the position of leader of the opposition. Honorable Sambandhan, you may very well recollect, during 2001 to 2004, during the presidency of Her Excellency Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumaratunga, Mahinda Rajapaksa was the leader of the opposition. Can I continue my point of order? In that parliament, when Honorable Mahinda Rajapaksa was the leader of the opposition, current Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe was the Prime Minister. And if you may recollect, in 2015 Parliament, from January 8th to August 15th, Maithripala Sirisena, who was the leader of UPFA, was the president, and Nimal Siripala Silva, member of UPFA, was the leader of the opposition. His Excellency Maithripala Sirisena held a few portfolios in that instance as well. The fact that Honorable Mahinda Rajapaksa has obtained membership of SLPP, he denies it. General Secretary of UPFA, as the authority in writing, informs your Speaker to appoint Mahinda Rajapaksa, who is the leader of the parliamentary group of UPFA, as the leader of the opposition. Parliament is not there to arbitrate into or inquire into internal issues of UPFA or any other political party. It's so unfortunate that you are trying to convert this parliament, which is funded by the people, into a limited center for inquiry of SLFP and the UPFA.
Right, thank you. Thank you.
Now last year, beginning of the year, Mr. Sambandhan, we had Honorable Mahinda Rajapaksa as the former president of this country. This month he became the former Prime Minister once again. And now he has become the former Member of Parliament. Your own party, Sri Lanka Freedom Party. Once you go and obtain membership in another party, your membership ceases. You see, now that issue We'll prove.
Order.
We'll prove. No, unfortunately, House has a right. The House has a right. It's a very, very serious matter.
Honorable Rauf Hakim. Honorable Rauf Hakim. Please conclude.
One of the most popular leaders in this country has been made a political orphan.
Order, please. Thank you.
Now, President's Counsel Manohar De Silva is critical of the move made by members of the governing party and the Tamil National Alliance to question former President Mahinda Rajapaksa's membership of the SLFP as well as his new position of opposition leader. Speaking to Other Derana, he characterised the move as unconstitutional and an illegal mechanism adopted by the Tamil National Alliance together with the diaspora and Western powers to deprive the majority of people of Sri Lanka from appointing a legitimate opposition leader.
If any political party, especially the UPFA, wants to take away the membership of Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa, it is a matter for that party, not for the UNP or for the TNA. Even if there is a matter, it is the courts that can decide. Parliament cannot decide whether a particular membership continues to be valid or not. That is none of the business of Parliament. The Speaker has no role to play in this. This is a totally unconstitutional mechanism by which the TNA, Tamil diaspora, and the Western forces attempt to deprive the majority of the people of this country to appoint a legitimate leader of the opposition. A party that supported the government during the last few weeks and formed a government cannot possibly attempt to grab the post of opposition leader purely for the purpose of depriving the majority community of this country the due post that they are entitled under the law. There are 225 members of parliament. TNA represents only 16 members. JVP represents only 6 members. And therefore, it cannot for any reason conclude that they can decide who the opposition leader is.
Parliamentarian Gamini Lokuge quotes the President as saying that the Cabinet will be sworn in tomorrow. Lokuge made the remark as he spoke to media following a meeting UPFA parliamentarians had with the head of state. In the meantime, President Maithripala Sirisena has decided not to offer ministerial positions to SLFP parliamentarians who defected to the governing party, the United National Front. The Central Committee of the SLFP has given its unanimous consent to the decision made by the head of state yesterday. Several parliamentarians spoke to media as they made their way out after the meeting. The Central Committee meeting of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party was held yesterday at the Presidential Secretariat under the patronage of its chairman, President Maithripala Sirisena. All of us, including the President and the former President, made a decision to expedite the process of establishing a coalition. We also decided to invite those who left the SLFP to return to the party. If you come from the national list representing the SLFP, one must not join the UNF because it is through votes of citizens who support the SLFP that they were selected to the national list. The ethical way to join the UNP would be to simply resign from the parliamentary seat obtained through the party's national list first. The President is clear of the stance that the rest of us are in, which is not to support any political party or coalition. But anyone can join other parties in line with their personal opinion. However, the President decided not to offer them any ministerial positions, and the Central Committee is fully in agreement with his decision. We ask all political parties, including the minority parties, to join the new coalition. Under this coalition, a new program will be launched against the UNP's activities to betray the country, such as selling off national assets. This is the first time in the country's history that such a comprehensive political coalition will be established. From the beginning of next month, we will be conducting awareness programs and inform our progress to the public. Meanwhile, in Kelaniya today, UNP parliamentarian Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca expressed views regarding the president's decision not to offer any ministerial positions to UPFA parliamentarians who crossed over to the governing party.
ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂයේ මන්ත්‍රීවරු කීප දෙනෙක් ආණ්ඩුවට එක්ක වුණා. එතකොට ජනාධිපතිවරයා කියා සිටියා කිසිම කෙනෙකුට අමාත්‍ය දුර පිරිනමන්න නැහැ කියලා.
එහෙම කරන්න බෑ.
He can't do that. They could take action as a political party, but the president does not hold any legal or constitutional provision to withhold the provision of ministerial positions to anybody.
ක්‍රමවේදයක් නැහැ.
ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාවේ 19 වෙනි සංශෝධනයට පසුව
The president can't appoint persons to the cabinet as he pleases after the introduction of the 19th Amendment to the Constitution. According to the amendment, the president can only keep 3 subjects for himself, which are state security, Mahavali development and environment. As for appointments, earlier the Constitution said that the president shall make appointments upon discussion with the Prime Minister if needed. It was changed by the 19th Amendment, and now it says that the President shall upon advice of the Prime Minister. Then it clearly says that the President can't appoint a cabinet disregarding instructions of the Prime Minister. That is the parliamentary tradition. You can't neglect that when you are in parliamentary tradition. On the other hand, that provision is included in the Constitution.
ඒ සම්ප්‍රදායක් වශයෙන් නෙමෙයි ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාවේ ප්‍රතිපාදනයක් වශයෙන් උත් තියෙනවා.
Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa does not intend to give up his struggle until he forms a new government. Speaking to media personnel in Anuradhapura this morning, he also said that he cannot bear to see the country become unstable. Newly appointed opposition leader Mahinda Rajapaksa arrived in Anuradhapura this morning and engaged in religious observances at the sacred Jayashree Mahabodhi. We will be in this struggle until we form a government. The UNP created that situation. The UNP, the TNA and the JVP did it. That's why we resigned following the court verdict. We can't bear to see the country become unstable. Now, veering from politics, Commander of the Sri Lanka Army, Lieutenant General Mahesh Senanayake, insists that 92% of privately owned land in the northern province are returned to their rightful owners. Addressing a media briefing held in Colombo today, the Army Commander also rejected claims that the Army is still occupying 64,000 acres in the north.
මේක සමහර අය තුළ මතයක් තියලා තියෙනවා ජාතිකාවශ්‍ය තරජනයක් කියලා. දැන්ට අපි පරිභෝජනය කරන්නේ තක්කර 14000යි.
We occupy only 14,000 acres of land in the north at present. So the talks about 64,000 acres are irrelevant since we used that much only in 2009. Currently 92% of privately owned land and 84% of state-owned land are returned to the people.
87ක් රජය ඉඩම් බාර දීලා තියෙනවා. විධානමතුමනි ආවාකලි සම්බන්ධව පසුගිය දවස් කතා වුණා. මේ දවස්වල කොහොමද තත්ත්වය උන් මර්ධනය කරලා තිබෙනවද?
It's an issue limited to the northern province, and they don't pose a challenge. However, the Sri Lanka police has the responsibility of protecting the law and order in the region, and we are providing intelligence. The situation is not beyond our control, but I see this as an incident where our intelligence services should be vigilant over the situation. But this is not a huge threat to the national security, and comparatively, the prevailing situation in the south is more threatening. The strength of the army is not weakened by any means. There is no issue of lack of personnel or removal of camps, but the army is working within a legal framework. This is merely a law and order issue, and there is no chance of it leading to a war. To be honest, neither the president nor any other person informed us to hand over any camps. But come next year, it will be 10 years since the war ended, and it is our own people who are suffering. We should give them what they need. What we are doing is to contract camps. It's by being closer to people that we can establish reconciliation. If we are going to be isolated in camps, this issue will only prolong and never be resolved. Our duty is to intervene in inculcating reconciliation. President Maithripala Sirisena has extended the term of the Presidential Commission probing allegations of large-scale fraud and malpractices in Sri Lankan Airlines, Sri Lankan Catering Limited and Mihin Lanka Private Limited to the 15th of February next year. Now let's take a look at some other stories making news across Sri Lanka. The Independent Association to Protect ETI Depositors held another protest march demanding their deposits back today. They initially had a meeting at the public library premises and later marched towards the head office of the ETI Finance Limited in Borella. The situation became rather heated when depositors requested a written pledge from ETI officials to the tune that the institute will release deposits soon. Police spokesperson SP Ruwan Gunasekara says that the audio clips recovered from the mobile phone of Director Operations of Anti-Corruption Movement, Namal Kumara, were submitted to the court by the CID. A three-member team of the CID left for Hong Kong with the mobile phone and returned after recovering the deleted clips last Friday. Former DIG Nalak De Silva, meanwhile, who was arrested by the CID in connection with the alleged assassination plot targeting the President and the former Defence Secretary, was further remanded until the 2nd of January next year. Veterinarians attached to the veterinary office in Giritale recovered the body of an elephant estimated to be around 35 years of age, which drowned in the Alla tank in Dimulagala. Wildlife officials said the body of the elephant was removed from the tank following an operation which lasted over 6 hours. Collection of samples from the skeletal remains unearthed at the mass grave in Mana for radiocarbon dating commenced yesterday. The official in charge of the excavations, Senior Judicial Medical Officer Shaminda Rajpaksha, said that 6 samples of bone fragments collected from 6 different sites of the mass grave will be sent to Florida, USA for carbon testing. Skeletal remains of 280 individuals have been systematically removed and further excavations are being continued.
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
Welcome back. You're watching First at 9. Now, oil stabilized today after one of its biggest falls for years, but remained under pressure from oversupply and concerns that slowing global economy would depress demand for fuel. Benchmark Brent crude oil was up 30 cents and $56.56 a barrel after dropping 5.6% yesterday and at one point hitting a 14th-month low. US light crude was 20 cents higher at $46.44 after plunging 7.3% in the previous session when it touched its lowest since August 2017. Both benchmarks have fallen more than 30% since the beginning of October as crude supply from the Middle East, Russia and the United States have outstripped demand, filling oil tanks. Yesterday's sell-off was encouraged by a sharp fall in world stock markets after signs that economic growth and hence demand for energy was slowing. There were also worries that higher US interest rates could slow US growth. The US Federal Reserve is expected to raise interest rates today at 1900 GMT. And now to bring you a market update, the all share price index closed 0.06% higher at 6,050.95 today, with a market turnover of 3.6 billion rupees, the highest since November 13th. Foreigners were net sellers of 333.5 million rupees worth of stocks today. There have been net sellers of 11.7 billion rupees since October 26th. With that, let's now take a look at a brief report on today's market trading.
Bond market saw yields slightly downward while overall market witnessed ultra-thin volume. At the primary market, bill auction, both 6-month and 1-year were accepted 999 and 1120, slightly lower than previous closing levels. In the stock market, turnover recorded nearly 5 weeks high while volume recorded 3 weeks high. While 31% of the turnover was derived from crossing in John Keel's Holding, Sampath Bank, Commercial Bank and Union Bank.
Taking a look at the currency, the Sri Lankan rupee ended weaker amid pressure on the currency due to foreign outflows from bonds and stocks. The rupee ended at 181 rupees and 87 cents against the US dollar, and it dropped 1.8% in November and has lost 17.5% this year. Now let's take a look at how the Sri Lankan rupee traded against other currencies during the day. Time to look at news from around the world. British businesses have criticised politicians for focusing on infighting rather than preparing for Brexit, warning that there is not enough time to prepare for a no-deal scenario. With 100 days to go before the UK leaves the EU, the group say firms have been watching in horror at the ongoing row within Westminster. The cabinet met yesterday to ramp up preparations for a no-deal departure, but the groups say the idea that no deal can be managed is not credible. Prime Minister Theresa May and her ministers are to step up preparations for a no-deal Brexit, an outcome made more likely by a deadlock in Parliament over the British leader's divorce deal with the European Union. With just over 100 days until Britain is due to leave the EU, May is set to win the support of a deeply divided Parliament for the deal she struck last month with Brussels to maintain close ties with the bloc. Members of the cabinet were seen entering number 10 Downing Street yesterday morning to meet for the last time before the Christmas recess. May has delayed the vote on her deal until mid-January, prompting some lawmakers to accuse her of trying to force Parliament into backing it by running close to the March 29 exit day. May, who last week survived a no-confidence vote within her Conservative Party, has warned lawmakers that the alternatives to her deal are leaving without an agreement or no Brexit. Britain's economy has slowed since the 2016 referendum vote to leave the EU, and there is no guarantee that businesses and consumers will retain tariff-free access to European goods after Brexit. The New York Times reports that hackers successfully targeted the European Union's diplomatic communications over a period of several years. Thousands of messages were intercepted in which diplomats referenced a range of subjects from US President Donald Trump to global trade. The breach was reportedly discovered by the cybersecurity company Area 1. European officials said that information marked as confidential and secret was not affected by the 3-year hack. The intercepted diplomatic cables reveal one exchange in which diplomats described July's meeting between Trump and his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin as successful, at least for Putin. Another message gives details of a private meeting between Chinese President Xi Jinping and European officials that took place earlier this year. It quotes Xi as saying China would not submit to bullying from Washington even if a trade war hurt everybody. A number of other institutions, including the United Nations, were also reportedly affected by the breach and have since been alerted. We got sports on the other side of this break. Stay tuned.
You are watching Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
And that's all we have from First at 9. But before we go, we're going to take you to Alawa in Kurunegala district. Known to be part of the Coconut Triangle where most of Sri Lanka's coconut exports are from, Alawa is also known for its scenic beauty. Although the town has been unurbanized over the recent decades owing to its being close to the Colombo-Kurunegala main road, Alawa still has some of the most beautiful thickets in the country. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.